Okay, so I just completed Final Fantasy II, as you can see around me here. Uh, and in my mild research on Final Fantasy before starting this, I quickly learned that Final Fantasy II is like the black sheep of the family. It seems to be the universally least liked in the franchise and controversial, you can say. No, and that got me excited. Like already, we have something that widely breaks apart from, or seemingly did widely break apart from the first one. And after playing it, I was hoping that I will go in as like this great champion of this like unloved game and could say that you're all wrong. It's actually the best game, or it's better in every way. And unfortunately, I can't say that. Uh, but I think the worst part was that I could almost say that. Uh, because, like, the start of this game, the start is really good, I would say. Uh, in almost in like every way, it's better than the first one, like right from the start. Uh, yeah, because okay, let's take it from the start. I wanna commend this game's storytelling. I think in like almost every facet, this at least like in the main plot and story of our character, I would say Final Fantasy 2 is way better. Immediately starts off with this like hostile takeover of this land, and you are put in the position of first you immediately lose one of your crew, and you being used to being four but only having three characters and like a missing spot in the bottom is like immediately a good way to communicate that loss. Uh, and you are put in position of this like starting rank rebel fighter, this regime. I don't know. Immediately that I feel like that's just a much more interesting framing device and just grabs me more than the standard fantasy chosen hero, which is a part of this, but I feel it's more earned. Uh, and then you get like immediately faced by some of like the differences or like new gameplay. I won't call them gimmicks, but they are a bit close to being a gimmick. But I appreciate the experimentation. Uh, but like you have like the word learning system that like you have these keywords that pops up in discussion that you will have to actively press learn, which I didn't like. But you will learn it, and then you can ask people about your key items and your key terms. And being a rebel fighter immediately was like the best use of this mechanic, where you go into enemy territory, you talk with NPCs, and you have like this secret password. You can tell them, and some will like immediately turn around, like I am not a silly NPC guy. I am in fact a rebel fighter like you, and here is the next quest. So I don't know, it does a lot of cool stuff with just like cutscenes, but also gameplay. Put you in the position of being a rebel fighter, and then yeah, you just go through the motions. You talk with your princess, that's the leader, and you go out on quest. You meet people, and since you're not like a chosen hero divined by destiny to defeat like the objective evil, even though the enemy kind of is, uh, people's like relationship with you feels a bit different than a lot of other JRPGs too. It's not just that like you're currently unknown or that everyone like on face value wholeheartedly accepts you, but it's a bit more tense where like even when you use the password or come in contact with rebel allies, they might not like immediately support you or want or trust you or want to help you. So you have like this more tenuous kind of relationship with the world and NPCs, and like some are in your way, some won't help you in return, and I don't know, you build a lot more relationship. It feels a bit more lived in. And also in general, like just from cutscene to cutscene and scene to scene, moment to moment, I think, uh, yeah, this story does a lot better than the first one in feeling like a proper adventure. I especially like that characters die. Like I was never like distraught, but kind of it makes things feel like a bit more exciting, like a bit more adventurous. That there are stakes and consequences, and even characters that you build like a relationship with, and they will die in different numerous ways. And these are characters that you control, and I assume the idea was that you kind of like build a relationship with in combat. That didn't quite work out that way for me, at least. And yeah, also just bigger production, more stuff happening, more characters, more spectacles. There was just a lot of beats that fills out the adventure more with like big events. You go with the boat and you get swallowed by Leviathan, and it, and then you suddenly have to like go through this massive monsters inside, fighting your way out. Characters come and go, alliances change. It's all good, all good in those terms. Uh, yeah, I would say like in general, going through the plot, I enjoyed myself a lot more than the first one. Even though I don't think I'm like kinder to the first one than a lot of people, it seems, don't serves. Uh, but I will say, in like the kind of like main story, it's really good. But I feel like we already started losing something in that like less palpable kind of storytelling. For all my numerous fans out there that remember my previous video, uh, I talked about like Final Fantasy and how good it was with like the environmental storytelling and just like giving every little space of that game kind of a little story, a little character, a little flavor, a little lore, just making it like feel alive and like a proper fantasy adventure, and just making each location and little community unique. And I feel like we lost a lot of that in Final Fantasy 2. I don't know if it was like in favor of the main story. I feel like we can have both, but maybe it was like a resource issue. Uh, but no, a lot of the towns in Final Fantasy they have like some unique geography about it. But I feel like I don't have like a strong immediate relationship to a location like I did the first one. And and I think a big part of that is there just isn't like a lot of ideas. You don't have like a town that is a bunch of cool, silly little dragon guys, or a town that is over a bunch of mermaids. And every single NPC don't have a unique reaction anymore. There's a lot more like fluff. Kind of like, honestly, I feel like this game already introduces a lot of stuff that will become like a AAA open world problems, and like stretch everything thinner just to make it feel bigger. So you have cities with a lot more NPCs and a lot more people walking around, but you also have a lot of those NPCs be like the exact same sprite, saying the exact same thing, and walking around, and in general just feeling like fluff for a city, instead of like each and every single NPCs have a unique interaction and a little character trait to just make a little community come alive. So I guess in like terms of storytelling, you kind of have to like pick your poison, like which one of those are preferable. But I have hopes that I will like find, or I've seen small glimpses of later game, and I do think they kind of like find the balance and manage to offer both of these. But for now, we sacrifice one for the other. Uh, and I would say I preferred, if I had to pick, the first one. Because like Final Fantasy 2 story isn't the best thing ever. It's just a good fun romp that drives forward momentum in a very good way, but I was never like emotionally touched or really cared too much about this character. It was more just a breezy play. Well, the first one, it was a bit more unique. It felt a bit more like video game in or unique to the video game medium in the it kind of like storytelling. But no, definitely kudos. Great. The cutscenes were definitely a lot a lot more fun in the sequel, and that is good because there was a lot more of them. I must say, my favorite thing about these cutscenes, and it happened every single time, is that when someone dies, even if it's cutscene, and even if it's the king or a character, they will start like blinking, play like enemy defeated animation, and a jingle plays, and it never stopped being funny for me. Like you have this sad goodbye to the king, that's the father of the princess, Lisa Rebel, and he has like this heartfelt speech about you have to save us, save the country, save everyone, and then it's just like start blinking and the jingle plays, uh, and that's just great. And it's so consistent that that is simply how this world operates. It's diegetic. It's just corpses don't exist in this universe. You will blink away magically, uh, and that is just wonderful. Great stuff. Mm. Uh, Anything forgotten? I like your or like your party, the custom characters are starting to see glimpses of having a personality, which is what I like. More of that, please. I hate blank slates in games. Projection is for cowards. I want character with opinions, motivations, reactions, and a drive that can fuel a story. And I hope we will see that become more and more a thing in the games as we go on. And oh yeah, a very important thing that this game did that I think is extremely vital for video games and for Final Fantasy as a franchise. And that was immediately setting the tone that each entry can be its own thing. And like you have the second game, and already they dropped they dropped like most of the narrative structure, the framing, the world, the characters. None of that returns. And you have to make all of those anew for every single game. And that is great. That is the ideal form to have a franchise, where you don't have to like force in the same guy to save the world once more in the same world, or jump through hoops to have new stuff, new things happening. But instead, you simply, you start up with a new world, new rules, new aesthetics, new designs, new stakes, new enemies, and the kind. But also, like, since it's a franchise, you kind of allow the glue that holds it together. You have like iconography, you have like small elements, designs, character IDs, gameplay mechanics that kind of like builds from game to game and holds it together. But you don't let the franchise kind of like strangle what you can do narratively. And that is great. And that is this early in a franchise, whatever you like did with the sequel can quickly just color how it evolves further. You kind of like start locking in what being a Final Fantasy game means. So in those two, and I know this was a bit more normal back then. You had Legend of Zelda, Mario. It was a game. You could just do whatever. Like a real physical world wasn't a requirement. Uh, but no, like Final Fantasy, yeah, started playing around with that a lot more, I think, and yeah, and I hope to see that spirit being properly carried. Or if not, like the third or fourth game, just lock in instantly and we're stuck in like what Final Fantasy games have to be immediately. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, speaking of like iconography and legacy and all that, this game introduced a lot of stuff that will, as far as I understand, be staples. Like, of course, the Chocobo came in this game. The Dragoons, I was told, is a mainstay. Different spells, some characters. They have some good ideas in here, definitely. But you have the spot where I agree with a lot of criticisms, and that is the gameplay. As mentioned, you have the word system. Very close, very good idea. I would like to see it, hope to see it returned in some more like interesting system. But no, I like that idea, especially when you have like proper narrative function where you can like say a code word and make NPCs interact with you differently. But in practice, it's just like all the words were highlighted. You press learn, and you get the word, and it's just a button that's you normally have to just use the most recent word you learned. It's not terribly exciting outside like the beginning where you're starting to get allies, and after that it is simply just mean your labor to make a cutscene move slightly more clunkily forward. And at worst, it's an unnecessary gate that bars progression. Because I had a moment in the game where I talked with the princess, got a new assignment. She just say, go to I don't know this place, Colosseum, whatever. And I had been there previously. I'm really bad at navigation in general, so I move a lot of whenever I'm supposed to go somewhere, I go wrong and I explore the entire map and I discover locations early. So yeah, I was told go to this type of place. I knew where it was. I immediately went off. And when I came, I learned that I just simply couldn't enter because I didn't learn the word. I just like read the dialogue like, oh yeah, that place. But I didn't press the learn button, so I didn't have the word to like talk to NPC to just get the plot moving forward. So I had to go back and then just press learn, go back again, say it in the dialogue, and then move forward. And also it's very limited what words people react to. Like most of them, you can only say like the one correct thing to move forward, and not like say every word and get like a small little lore insight or expansion on the like names, characters, history and stuff. And that's another thing, like backtracking. It was too like any backtracking is too much in all games. I'm willing to die on this hill. Not really, but no. Like downside of being rebels and is that you have a base, and especially with this like word thing where you need to like learn something and bring it back to the leader, means that you always have to go back to that damn base. And one thing is when it's just wasting time. But as mentioned in like the previous video, Final Fantasy has this very like interesting kind of like survival rhythm to it, where you have to go through, yeah, where like just going somewhere is the gameplay, where you have to expand resources, mana, and health on all the random encounters to just get somewhere. And then introducing backtracking, which then like, yeah, where you are essentially punished by completing something that you have to manage to get back, which is interesting in the beginning when you have like when you start like getting this like chains of like I have this city in the middle that I can restock and then get to the next one and get back, and it's like perilous. We are a rogue. We are underdogs. Not even the rebels support us, and we need to get through, and it's exciting, dangerous. But like the enemies, location, and levels don't change. So after a while, you will like have to go through that same starter area as a god and destroy everything, and it's simply just a waste of time. You don't have to use any resources and to get back. You just have to spam attack. And that, yeah, again, it seems to be like a thing of Final Fantasy 2. It has a lot of good ideas and a lot of annoying executions of them that honestly a lot of them could very easily be fixed. I think I will be interested in kind of like either a fan or official kind of like remix of this, where they, yeah, just remove a lot of the annoying stuff. Because the more you play, definitely the more annoying stuff started appearing. Like my absolutely favorite. I'll start somewhere else before that. This game has a major difficulty issue. And I mean that in the opposite way, that it's too gosh darn easy. And of course, I am a pro gamer. I am expert at everything. I played God Hand. I have pro gamer creds. So I might enjoy things a bit more higher difficulty than others. But this game is designed in a way where you will, like, I'm very surprised if you don't like accidentally break the game for yourself. Because the way, like the other kind of like really big change that in this one that I think they went away from very quickly is that like every single stat has its own XP and training. So you when you get hit, you like train your HP and it gets higher. You use magic, you're getting more MP. The magic spell gets more powerful. You have a unique level per sword, per axe, per spell. Yeah, everything, every single item and yeah, every item, spell, and stat in this game has its own kind of like XP. And I think the idea was that a lot of character will be more unique. And although I think that's true, the way this was done, and I'm not quite sure how you will go about avoiding that, is you get punished from like mixing up a character. Like you invest a lot of like time to get the guy up in sword skill, and yeah, when you have him at level 9 sword, it's hard to justify jumping over to a level 2 knife because it's like slightly more effective in this specific spot in the game. But I feel like the problem is that like this game was designed around the idea that you are supposed to switch around a lot. So that meant that I simply broke the game because I had a guy with 2 swords, Firion, my boy, had 2 swords, 1 sword in each hand, because you can like specify per hand. And he was just killing everything. He was doing 1,000 damage per sword in the end to like the the last boss. And I just stayed like, yeah, stayed using fire spell on my mage. I expected to be punished for that by at some point, but I never did. Uh, so yeah, just it, yeah, it kind of like locked in my characters in ways I don't think was intended with this kind of system. Uh, but yeah, also that made it piss easy. So why would I change and mix up? Uh, Also, yeah, and you can't like. I think the only way to like maintain difficulty in this game is to at every turn make it worse for yourself. Like give everyone the item they're currently the worst at, because you can give a guy nothing with his hands, and he still broke the game. It's just too easy, and I know there's a thing about like the easy mode introduced in like a remake of 1 and 2 that the Pixel remasters kind of based themselves on. But as far as I understand, that's just in terms of like being more favorable with kind of like XP numbers. You get more of them and higher level, which I like actively tried to balance, turning off enemies to like make bosses difficulty, turn down like XP gains at time. It did make it harder. Just yeah, I just had less dopamine of that like level up sounds. I think it's yeah, more of a fundamental design issue. Uh, but I mean, the first one wasn't very hard, and it has a lot of like charm and fun and momentum and rhythm to go forward. And like this wasn't a deal breaker for me, but issue like, or you know what, it was very close being a deal breaker in the middle there, where I like before I explored the entire continent and didn't know where everywhere was. I had like I think I had like massively overleveled from all that like wrong exploration. So the like middle part of the game was a slog in the way that I I ruined the game. I was so strong that I just could press autoplay or auto attack where I just used the last command and just used attack on everyone and they killed everything in one hit. So I wasn't like even using mana or resources, and I was insta killing, so I wasn't losing HP. Uh, so yeah, I actually had to like just turn off enemies for a while just to like let it catch up with me as I moved forward. So uh, always turn on a bit to just like see if a dungeon was like more difficult or had enemies that specifically countered me. They never did. Uh, but in the end, I did manage to like balance it out somewhat. Where I in the last couple dungeons had to at least choose what I use. You find the best spell to use, and not just press attack. Uh, but all this was with one exception, uh, and that was the Leviathan. Midpoint, build up. Uh, oh, fuck. I'm gonna jump around here because reminding points. The bit about the storytelling too is I absolutely love how like they allowed like the world to be more dynamic. The fact that you're gonna sabotage the Leviathan, and you fail in this, and it goes and actually destroys cities. Like cities you've been to before is now like destroyed, has a way less NPCs, and even have a spooky filter on it. And that stuff is great. That was fantastic. I did not expect them to. Honestly, yeah, do that in general. My only wish wasn't that the item shops felt like their own universe, where like everything exploded, and then you walk into item shop and it's the same one as everywhere else, and nice music, and they're unaffected. Don't even mention the fact that their town was nuked. Yeah, honestly, I wish they kind of some of them disappeared. That those cities that were attacked only had like half the shops, and now suddenly like maneuvering the world was harder because you didn't have like these checkpoints to save you. Uh, but yeah, and also in the start, uh, I really liked when you first go to the capital, and they're like way too powerful enemies. So you have to actually sneak around and like find agent to work together with, and if you interact with them, you will insta die, and you can't do anything with these like magical knights. And the reason I remember that is because those are the ones you meet in the Leviathan. So you have like these enemies you have built a relationship with, like, oh yeah, these guys kill me. I do literally 0 damage back when I first met, and now I have to go through a dungeon with them. And yeah, it was great. Because when I met them, they have so many resistances, and especially to my like sword guy, that they were I had to expend a lot of resources to get one magical knight killed. And yeah, and you had to do that just to get into the Leviathan and start what's the best dungeon with the asterisks. Uh, yeah, and then I fought a second guy, and unfortunately then I realized that it's optional to fight them. Only the first one you have to kill to disappear, and even if you like kill a magical knight, they won't disappear and still like block a path. Which is a shame, because I thought it could be like a real interesting dungeon where you can choose to like fight this really difficult enemy in exchange of like shortening the path of this dungeon. That instead of like going around having more encounters, you can fight one guy and then like move 5 tiles instead. Which I didn't. In general, they lack of any particularly good like unique dungeon designs. There are no like good teleportation stuff from the first one, or the ones that have a gimmick are retreads like the lava from the first game. But no, at least like the Leviathan finally gave me a challenge, because these guys depleted me. They were poison enemies. I didn't have a lot of antidotes, so I had to like expand more and more mana just to like keep my guys alive. And I started like just using like health potions while they were taking poison damage, just walking. That was great. It was a proper fight, and I felt like extremely relief getting to the top and like, yeah, I did it. Then the fuckers told me that, oh no, you need to save the princess first. You know, in the beginning, there's a third door. You didn't go into that third door, so now you went through all the floors in vain, and you need to go back down and then back another one, talk to the princess, and walk up again. And there I was like, just fuck you. And I turned off enemies, walked down. Yeah, it was literally just like talk with the princess and she goes out. And then woke up again. And yeah, it's just like all those things. Final Fantasy, they have something that works, and they always just put on that extra thing that makes it break apart. Yeah, and here I was like in my favorite dungeon. Still what ended up being my favorite part of the game. And the climax of it was a pure annoying disappointment. Yeah, and that's kind of the gist, or my experience at least, with FF2 for most part. Way too easy, and every time something exciting pops up, it kind of breaks that. But I will say it was never like unplayable. I think if you like go in, are a bit aware of these downsides, do your bit to mitigate them a bit. Yeah, honestly, a very playable JRPG, and yeah, it has some unique moments, some good storytelling, stuff like stuff like the chocobo and that fucking chocobo music playing. I had my moments of enjoying a good game in this, and oh yeah, end game spoilers. Uh, I know it's just fun when you go and like finally kill this emperor, and he just goes like, haha, hell made me stronger, and then comes back and you have to go into hell and defeat him. Uh, I don't, yeah, it had some like unique flavors of fantasy, and yeah, even though you never like met him, you build up such a relationship with him because you see like the bad stuff he does out in the world instead of just like being a cosmic entity of evil. Yeah. Also, again, final boss was the best fight. They save all the difficulty like Final Fantasy 1 into the last guy. But even then, I only took like 2 tries instead of like 6 I did with Chaos. Uh, and Chaos I even needed to like grind a bit in between the tries. Here was just, oh, he heals. Okay, I guess I'll change my strategy. I did. I won. Whatever. Uh, so yeah, I would say if you are playing Final Fantasy, uh, don't listen to like the extreme takes on this game. I think it's different enough. It tries enough thing. Some things works enough that it's if you're doing something like this, it's absolutely worth giving it a try and see how you feel. Because I think, I mean, I know no person that like prefers Final Fantasy to most of the other ones. So there is like a world where you can play Final Fantasy 2 and prefer what it has to other games. Uh, so far, I can't call myself one of those persons. I think I appreciate it more than a lot of people, but it's still like yeah downgrade in my mind from Final Fantasy 1. And I guess we'll see how it compares to Final Fantasy 3. Uh, because I rather have this than like a bog standard boring direct sequel. If they just did Final Fantasy 1 again, I would hate this game, I think. But for now, I have a tenuous appreciation for it. Uh, is there anything more to say? I think there's lots less structured than the last one. Music slaps as usual. Still wish I could turn on old graphics in the pixel remasters. I'm still surprised how much I enjoy playing. Now I play like 2 JRPGs, very like classical turn-based. I don't know, like 20 something hours combined, and you know it's still nice and it works well as like a side game. It's been very nice to have it on my Steam Deck on this TV where I can like always have it in sleep mode. Just turn on, play. Yeah, just move a floor 2 down during the night and then turn off. And very like fun, bite-sized, kind of nice game to have available. And I think that will help me be able to play through Final Fantasy when I can just have them like this thing to turn on when I want to relax or yeah wait a half an hour or something. I can just pop in, always do some worthwhile progression and then jump out. But yeah, a lot more memorable characters this time. The Hell guy was funny. Chocobo was fantastic. I never in my wildest dream expected that music. Yeah, no, I think yeah. So I guess stay Kingdom Hearts.